Hi, I'm Paula McIntyre and I'm in the family homestead of the 21st President of America, Chester Arthur, and here in Cullybackey. Beautiful turf fire going, and traditionally soda farls would have been baked on a turf fire and you get that authentic beautiful taste. So soda farls are part of the Ulster-Scots cooking tradition, and they were made again, like most cuisines around the world, born out of peasant food, born out of a need to use everything. There was no waste. So what we've done first was churn some butter. There's a churn in the corner here. So what happened was that the morning milk would have been put into the churn and everybody had a go, and then up at the top you would see wee bits of flecks of butter appearing at the top, and that's when you knew it was ready. So that I've obviously done that this morning, but if you wanted to do it at home, you could do it in a mixer and just keep whisking it. When you get to the point where you've over whipped your cream, keep whisking, and eventually it'll turn to, you've got your butter solids, and then the buttermilk, which is this, which buttermilk, you can buy buttermilk, but it's quite creamy. This is quite watery, and also you get these lovely flecks of golden butter in them, which is really, really traditional, and it's got a kind of a grey kind of hue to it, whereas you buy buttermilk in a carton, it's very, very creamy. So this is the traditional proper thing, and that's that would be your acid. So what we want to do is, if you take the flour here, and we're going to add baking soda, which is the alkali, and the two together mix to make carbon dioxide, and that's where you get a nice fluffy farl. So in here, this is going to be a plain one, so about a teaspoonful there, and then a squidge of salt, same into each one. Of course you can weigh these, but I think I've made probably 5 million soda farls in a day now, so I started to stop weighing them a few years ago. And I tried to get a recipe from my grandmother one time, and she said it's a handful of this and a handful of that. So, and every time I weighed the handful it was different, but the soda farl always came out exactly the same. So into this one I have just the plain flour, the salt and the baking soda. This is going to be an Indian soda. So this is something that you would see a lot around County Antrim, and the Indian comes from the cornmeal that would have been sent over from America to sustain us at times, and it's still, you can still see it in bakeries, Indian sodas. So that the Indian bit pertains to the actual cornmeal. So this is a fine cornmeal. So that just goes in and mix that around. And then the other soda that I'm doing is a treacle soda. So treacle, in here I have mixed the treacle already with the buttermilk, so it's completely dissolved. So just to make any farl, just put a bit of, make a well in the centre, and then add your wet mixture, and then mix it around. And we'll just give it a good mix. Right, it wants to be not too, just a nice sort of soft dough, but not too wet and not too dry either. And the key is to just keep adding a wee bit of the buttermilk until you get what you want. So that's exactly what we're looking for there. So as I said, it was always, these were just used to make up, to use up the buttermilk that you were left with. So this is always a wooden board, and then take your farl mix into the middle, and the word farl means a quarter, and it's the same derivative like a farthing coin, or farl, and sometimes they're called fardels, so fardel bread. Not too much flour in this, and then the other thing too is not to knead it too much, because then you're just going to knock all that lovely carbon dioxide out of it. So we just want to really just pat that down. So, and then cut that into 4. And then we'll just leave that. So take that to the side, leave that over there. Everybody always say to you that makes soda farls, leave them for a few minutes just to rise up a wee bit. So that's our first one. The second one is the Indian one. So again, just exactly the same way, and a bit of the buttermilk into this. stir around. And that's again into the middle. Somebody came over here one time and they were come over from England, and they said to me, "Oh, I saw these Indian sodas in a bakery. I think it was out in Cushendon or somewhere like that." And they said, "Are they Indian because they've got curry powder in them?" And I'm like, "No, no." So they're so you can sort of see why, because when they cook, they have like a yellowy. But the Indian comes from just the cornmeal, and very, very traditional. And then just a plain one then, just do a plain one, and then just, again, if you're at home, and obviously not everybody is lucky enough to have a nice turf fire going with a griddle hanging over it, so just a heavy base saucepan or frying pan is perfect for this. And do it on a low heat as well. The fire, as you can see now, the griddle is sort of down a wee bit, but it's not down too much, so I've been assured that that's a perfect temperature for cooking scones. There we are, and then just flatten that down. The other things other variations of this is in some parts you would have a slim, and a slim is a really thin one. And sometimes there would be fruit added to that, dried fruit. And again, pretty traditional around County Antrim. There we are. And that's it. The key now is just to leave those for another couple of minutes. If you're doing this at home and you're in a warm kitchen, it probably would take a couple of minutes. But because we're in a little bit cooler in here, might leave it for 5. But you can see this one already starting to come up a wee bit, and that's really what you're looking for. You're just waiting for it to react before we hit it on the heat. The best way to check if it's ready is just to put a bit of flour on the griddle, and you sort of see it scorching a wee bit there. And this is a turkey wing. Traditionally it would have been a goose wing, but they're telling me here they couldn't get a goose wing, so this is turkey. Looks like a goose wing, so that's fine. And I just put the Farls directly on. You don't need to put any oil or anything. So those are our treacle first, and then our Indian sodas, and then the plain. So once you leave the Farls on the griddle, it's really, you leave them for 5 minutes, and then we'll flip them over. And there's always a sweet spot of perfect heat, and then there's a bit of a cooler bit. So it's just a matter of me getting to know that bit and then moving it around a bit. But it's just, it's such a lovely smell in here actually already. And that's my grandmother made griddle Farls, and she made soda Farls. And that smell of scorched flour and a turf fire is something very, very special. It's beautiful. Pretty much put anything you want into a soda these days. But these are the traditional. So you can put crispy bacon in, you can put cheese, leeks, scallions, anything at all. Just let your imagination go wild. So those are our sodas there. And again, they're bread to either be eaten now, like this, or the next day you can cut them up and fry them in either oil or preferably good bacon fat, and have that as part of your Ulster fry.